Today, we're going to look at one of the closest calls Devon Larratt ever had. A match where Devon was getting completely run over for the majority of the match and had to pull out every trick in the book just to stay alive. If things went just a little bit differently, Devon could have lost his world title completely. In this video, we're going to analyze Devon Larratt versus Don Underwood and Arm Wars. Let's begin. Going into this super match, Devon Larratt actually seemed to be very confident. He said he thought he could pretty much beat Don Underwood under any circumstances. But as soon as this very first ready go happens, we start to realize that things may be a little bit less comfortable for Devon. We see Devon using his classic high hook and Don hitting just straight sideways and rotating, and he's able to get that pin pretty easily. The score is now 1-0 in favor of Don. And the reason that this is so concerning for Devon is because Devon was actually able to hit the move that he wanted to. We see him punching up into the air, he's trying to set a hook, he's trying to do a high hook, and as Don begins to rotate downward toward the pin pad, you can just see how he's going to roll into Devon's hook. He's going to put down pressure, and that's exactly what Devon wants. Devon is essentially doing an uppercut straight up into the air, and that's going to cause this rolling pressure. And we can see that Don does get sucked into that hook. But the problem for Devon is even once he gets Don into the hook, Don still just has enough side pressure, he has enough rotation to just go ahead and finish the match from that point. So this is extremely concerning for Devon right now. He was able to get everything that he wanted to. He forced Don into the hook. He has his wrist bent, but he just doesn't have enough side pressure, enough stopping power to prevent the pin from taking place. And this is going to set the stage for the rest of the super match. The score is now 1-0 in favor of Don Underwood, and we're going to see Devon's mindset totally shift here. A second ago, Devon was extremely confident, and now he's going to have to pull out all the stops if he wants to have a chance in this match. We see him trying to do a move where he's pushing forward, and this is resulting in Don coming off the back of the pad. And you can see in this moment that Don's elbow is clearly off the back of the pad. However, this is not just because Don needs to do this in order to generate this kind of pressure. It's not like the match is necessarily all that close, but rather Devon is just doing a move where he is coming forward. He's pushing his elbow forward, and Don is doing a move where he is dragging. So this kind of foul where Don is being pushed off the back is extremely common, and it's actually really difficult to avoid if you're Don Underwood. And you can see it more clearly here how Devon is shoving all the way forward, and even Devon does end up coming off the front of the pad, indicating that he probably is trying to push Don off of the back of the pad at least a little bit. Going into the restart of that round now, once again, Don has an insane amount of rotational side pressure, but unfortunately he is coming off the back of the pad. Notice how once again this is a pretty obvious elbow foul, but Devon isn't really blaming that elbow foul on the pin. This is because Devon can feel the amount of power that Don has, and even though he's coming an inch or two off the back, Devon knows that he's still in big trouble. If Don keeps his elbow on the pad, he still can probably get the pin. And once again, we do see Devon driving that elbow forward, and we hear Don complaining about Devon pushing him off the back, and Devon isn't really arguing that point very much. And that was the second foul of that round, so the score is now 1-1, and the match is tied up. Going into round 3, we see once again the immense side pressure of Don Underwood. It's just almost impossible for Devon to do anything in this match except to try to shove Don off of the back of the pad. And once again, that is what happened in this round. Don is looking so strong, but he's just unable to keep his elbow on the pad for most of these rounds. The score is still 1-1, Don now with one foul, and Devon tries something a little bit different. He tries to go outside, and we can see right away how that is not going to work. Don was able to contain Devon's outside hit so easily, and he took him right down next to the pin pad, but Devon is just barely able to bail out right before he gets called for a parallel pin. So if Devon wants to win, he's going to have to go inside. He's going to have to come forward and chop onto Don's bicep and isolate it. There's no way he's going to be able to go outside after what we saw in that restart. Devon once again goes inside, and unfortunately for Don, he gets very close to a pin, but he goes off the back of the pad one more time. Now Devon Larratt is winning this match 2-1. Even though Don seems to be by far the person with more power so far, he's just unable to keep his elbow on the pad, and this is working out very well for Devon. We see Devon slipping outside once again. Maybe this is just to try to fatigue Don in a slightly different lane, but we can see that the outside battle is not very close here. Devon has to commit to that inside lane one more time. And once Devon goes inside, we see the same thing one more time. Don has so much side pressure he's able to get the pin pretty easily, but his elbow popped off the back by a couple inches, so this one is going to come back once again. The score is still 1-2 in favor of Devon Larratt. Don Underwood with one foul. This time we see the same exact side pressure drive from Don Underwood, but he is actually able to get the pin and keep his elbow on the pad, demonstrating that he does have the power to defeat Devon Larratt in this match. As long as he can prevent himself from fouling, he has a very good chance of winning this super match and taking Devon Larratt's title. Round 5 has started outside of straps. Devon once again coming forward trying to chop down onto that bicep, but this time Don just drives right to the pad. He even reacts a little bit late, but he still has enough power to take Devon down to the pin pad and get the win. Don is now one win away from stripping Devon of his title. And you can see on the replay how even though Don starts in more of an outside move, tries to take the hand and fails, he still has enough strength to transition to more of a high hook move, get that wrist more bent, and just go straight sideways, straight down toward the pin pad, and he is able to get the win in this lane. Incredible strength, incredible rotational side pressure from Don Underwood. At this point, things are looking really bad for Devon Larratt. He is one loss away from losing everything, but then out of nowhere, he is finally able to isolate Don Underwood's bicep using that chopping hook that he's been trying to, and he's able to get the win and make the score 3-3, resulting in a tied super match. Devon Larratt is the reigning champion of Arm Wars, so he retains his world title, and Don Underwood is not going to be number 1 on this day. In the interviews after this match, Devon makes a point of saying that Don Underwood was in total control until the very last round of this match. Don probably ends up getting 10 pins on Devon in this super match. It's just that he wasn't able to keep his elbow on the pad, partly in order to increase his own pressure, but also because Devon probably was shoving him off the back of the pad a little bit. But in the end, even though there may have been a pretty significant strength gap, Devon's experience shined through, and he was able to pull this win out, even if he did so using very unorthodox methods. For whatever reason, Don Underwood was just on a totally different level on this particular day. If Devon Larratt had made one more mistake on this day, Don Underwood just might have become the number 1 arm wrestler on the planet. So let me know what you guys think about this match, and more specifically, how do you think that the Don Underwood that went up against Devon Larratt would stack up against the pullers of today? Do you think that this version of Don Underwood would have the potential to be on the top 10 in the world stage in 2024? Keep in mind that this is the version of Devon Larratt that was able to stonewall Richard Lubke's in the center table and do the 80-kilogram hook cheat lift. It is entirely possible that the format of Arm Wars is much more so what had to do with Don's apparent strength. But at least on the surface, it looks like the Don Underwood of Arm Wars had some of the craziest rotational side pressure